And everybody, this is episode 33 of the Constant Elevation Show. My legendary co-host, Brother Jay, X-Clan, Brooklyn, New York City, and myself, Tamal. It's like Jamal, but with a T. So, yeah, we do this build every month. First Wednesday of each and every month, talk about hip-hop topics and kind of tie it in with life in general. And all of our past episodes are on this Caring the Culture YouTube channel, so you can check them out. A lot of great builds. 32 other episodes up there. So show some love, support, subscribe to the YouTube channel up there. So real quick for you guys out there, this is a structured build, so we're not talking about anything else but stuff pertaining to the topic at hand. This is not a, when's the next album coming out type build. So this is a structured show.
Yes.
So please, if you got questions and comments, please have them relate to what we're talking about so then everybody can benefit. So tonight's topic, big up to our people, Save the Hip Hop Culture. We came up with this idea. We're going to be discussing hip hop and education. Hip hop being taught in schools. Hip hop, we're going to kind of come up with a hypothetical hip hop curriculum. And we got a special guest. This was spurred a moment. I want to thank her for being able to just jump in like this. I think she's here. Where you at, Queen Herawin? Let me see. Yeah, let's go, sister. I'm excited about this one, man. And she can spit her ass off.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, God, yo, listen. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to play something while she's jumping in. Hold on. This is yeah. She's a missile launcher, her and her brother, man. So, Breeze Brewing, the Juggaknots. Big up Kilo Kush.
Thawing out like I was in the freezer for months. Now I'm ready to spill my guts like Philly blunts on these silly stunts. Metaphoric felonies had me absorbing often and Nordic like portions of personality. Emphatically, tragically, got me on the Nordic track perspective. Started prepubescent. Consequence of aborted souls as adolescent. What a lesson. Now value in my labia. How ironic with a name that represents saving ya. Instead I got an icebox with a heart used to be Scandinavia. What happens to an empire trying to last on a land that's more like warpath? It's mania. Distorted reality. Living in a world surreal like paintings from Salvador Dali with salary. Still got me chopping at the Dollar Tree. Fuck lottery. Just fight a lot of heat like cooking up a pot of meat. Sometimes we feeling like straight meat because I'm kind, empathetic and sweet. Sometimes my people be feeling like straight meat because of certain kinds.
Yeah.
She from New York, man?
Yeah, she's from the Bronx.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say Brooklyn.
No, she's from the Bronx.
Sound like a little Brooklyn flow. But that's nice, man. That's refreshing.
Yeah, they've been around forever. Her and her brother Breeze Brewing, the whole crew, Juggaknots, Underground. They probably the whole Fat Beat scene back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, the missile launchers, man. The missile launch. She gets it in.
That's tight, man. Better than my booty hole is brown and my my shit is black. What that?
Yeah.
Peace to the goddess.
What up?
Peace to the gods, peace to the kings. How are y'all, man?
What up?
What up?
Queen Herawin.
Talk about you.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Gave Brother Jay a dose of a little something.
It is an honor to be here with you all. Yes, Brother Jay, peace.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you, sir. This is family. I'm well. How are you guys doing?
Ready.
Very good.
Ready to get it in. So, and I want to thank you for, so for those you don't know, we got, she will take your head off like this, guillotine style. And she's a very nice person, by the way, too. So, Queen Herawin, Juggaknots, Boogie Down Bronx, New Rochelle.
Yeah.
In that fucking building. So, yeah, man. So thank you for rocking with us, like, spurred a moment. I was like, yo, let me hit her up and see what eyeball with some shit. Something, you know what I mean? But,
my pleasure.
Let me hit her up and see what's good. So, tonight's topic is hip hop and education, hip hop being taught in the school system. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to do two things. We're going to kind of discuss just currently what's going on. There's a lot of hip hop educators out there, and just kind of currently what you guys are doing. And then we're gonna try to put together our own little curriculum here. Like if there was a hip hop magnet school.
Okay.
It's like, you know, science, tech, STEM schools. Like if there was a hip hop magnet school, you know, so we'd cover all the bases. You know what I mean? Like as far as if we could try to put that together. So have a little fun with that. So
sure.
Now, when you first brought this topic up, bro, you know, I always see things from a different angle.
Yes, you do.
I don't think hip hop is strong enough to deserve a curriculum. I mean, if we can't throw a show in peace, then how do we teach this to the next generation?
Exactly. But I'm gonna hold. I knew you were gonna say that because I was thinking the same shit.
Right.
So we're gonna hold that, and we're gonna hold that for a minute.
All right.
All right.
I'm following your lead on this.
But I will. Yeah, we're gonna definitely address that because I knew you were going there. so I knew that was happening. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get into like as far as the teaching in the schools and Queen Herawin. You can let us know, you know, what you do in the school system and you know how it works. You know, your brother's also a teacher. I mean, you know, John Robinson,
correct.
Both
of my brothers.
Yeah,
that's your brother.
Yeah.
Breeze, no, JR is more like brother from another mother or father, but that's my brother for sure. I definitely refer to him as such.
Okay.
My actual brother, Breeze Bruin, of the Juggaknots, definitely an educator. So is my other brother, Kev. Both of my brothers are educators and have been. My eldest brother, he's into cars. He educates people about cars in Jamaica. Shout out, you know, Kingston 10. So he's doing it in a different capacity. But my other brothers, Kev and Breeze, they are definite educators, certified, have been in the classroom. And as far as me, I started out teaching, like student teaching, actually. Right. I started out student teaching. So our mom is a retired educator. And it started out for me as a summer job. And it was like, hey, do you want to do this summer job? As often family will pull you into whatever space that is to be productive, you know, not be on some nonsense and do something constructive. And I started out as a teacher's assistant. And where I was working at the time was actually a group home, and it evolved into an opportunity where I ended up teaching poetry before I was a certified educator. And so I taught poetry one summer. I approached the principal and he was like, all right, cool, let's see what you do. And I literally had students that were probably like 3 or 4 years younger than me. Yes. But I taught the class. And so we explored poetry. We talked about hip hop, but it was, I guess, more formal poetry. But of course, hip hop poetry, you know, it's language, it's word, all of that. So that was my first real introduction into the classroom before I was a formal educator. And then from there, I started teaching pre-K as a for real teacher in Mount Vernon, money out earning Mount Vernon many years ago. And right now I teach at Monroe College. I teach college. So I've taught pre-K, elementary, middle school, high school. I've taught across the board. I've taught in Westchester, which is where I'm at now. I've taught in the Bronx. I've taught in Chicago. I lived in Chicago for some years. And then through hip hop, I've taught in internationally. Yeah, I used to live in Hyde Park, the north side of the south side.
You done been through all the combat zones.
Man,
shit. Like,
listen, I mentioned Hyde Park the other day in Florida with my daughter going to college trips. And the guy, he was like, oh man, that hit my heart. I was like, yeah, Harold's. He was like, oh, don't even say Harold's. He was trying to put me on to some other chicken spot, you know, which is very connected to hip hop because, you know, you can be in one spot and another spot and you say one word or you reference one thing and it brings someone to an emotional space that connects to something nostalgic for them. So I think it's interesting with what you were saying, Brother Jay. I won't tap into that till I guess it's time, but yeah, that's kind of my background.
Yes.
And I've taught general ed, special ed. I've taught art, visual arts. And right now at Monroe, I teach a communications class and I teach a hip hop honors elective class.
Yes. Now you see how many hats you have as a skilled artist. I'm the person who says, why should skilled artists have to squeeze the rag in such a way? You feel me? We shouldn't have to bounce around. We should have been a branch of English, all right? Instead of, let me teach hip hop, and they go look at the charts and they see Booty Hole Brown is #1, and it looks bad on us. It's nothing of intelligence. Even with Chicago was powerful with spoken word, powerful. Common comes out of there. There's a lot of good wordsmiths coming out of there, and they gave into the trap. They gave into the lower frequency so heavy that you would never look there for anything on a level like how a Common was. Even how Kanye comes off as, you know, as a different tier of producer MC. He had a light open for him to be more of a teacher rather than, you know, the sporadic radical and all of that kind of stuff. There's no lane for the rebel when we want to do business with these schools. They don't even treat the regular educators correctly. You know, I feel like hip hop should have its own museum and not be connected to a housing project, a mall on the bottom. I feel it deserves its own hall of justice. I feel when it comes to teachers like yourself, where you have all the credentials to say yes, and while they're learning from me, I can teach them the visual arts, the graffiti, I can teach them this. You got several levels of curriculum that you can branch out. They should be basically putting aside a bag for you. You know what I'm saying? And the other teachers that are doing, we shouldn't have to squeeze our way in. You know what I'm saying? Because people are looking at us like, wow, since you're not doing anything, since you're not on tour, do you think you want to do something for the summer? Or you think you want to do something for this? I've been through that. You know what I'm saying? And for the dues that I paid, I felt like this should be a class. This is just like if you invite an actor to come and teach other actors in situations, they put a bag aside and they say for these 2 months, the teacher is coming and this is what it is. And you have your own situation. I don't see that happening anymore. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's a slow progression.
Yeah.
I think it's way slower than it should have been. And I'll say two things, not to interject, but in connection to what you're saying, Brother Jay, I think it's become of monetary value now. And when we look at society and we look at Western culture and we look at the US, and once something becomes of value, then it's like, oh, monetary value, then it becomes of substantial or purposeful value. So now it's like, okay, now because we can make money from it and we see that we can do that, let's pull that into the education, let's pull that into the schools, let's pull that into the curriculum. So I think it's unfortunate with the way that it's happened, because honestly, to kind of go back to the original thought, even though you're correct, it's like with all this stuff happening and all this violence and all of this, ironically, to me, hip hop is the one space and place and thing that does bring everyone together, whether it's religion, economic status, ageism, creed, gender, whatever. It's the one space where all of that actually can exist, right? So that's an important thing. And how I've infused it into curriculum is like you use the word squeeze, and that's real, because before I had a position that focused on education and hip hop, because I've always felt scattered. I felt like, okay, when I go to the interview, it's like, okay, hello, I'm Peridot Smith, nice to meet you all. And then I leave and I go in my car and I'm like playing my deep. So, you know, and they might hear me on the way leaving out, like, is that who we just interviewed? You know, like today I wore some slacks and I had on Jordans, and another professor looked at me and was like, okay. And I was like, all right, y'all, I'll see you on Monday, do what you need to do. So I think what becomes beautiful now, though, is that rather than feeling like you're this secret society, as far as hip hop, there's an inclusion that you can just be who you are. And that's so essential in the classroom, because as an educator for 20 plus years, part of which has always been an issue, I think, is this sense of cultural disconnect, right? So a quick story that even is not connected directly to hip hop, but when I taught at the group home, I had a young student who, because it was a group home, you know, mom situation or whatever, was not there. And she came to school one day, she came to class, her hair looked wild. And I did what whatever lesson I had to do was an inclusion class, just meaning that I taught all the classes in that same classroom, and self-contained rather. And I started braiding her hair. I started cornrowing her hair during our little break, our little, time off.
Right.
A white educator, a white woman who's taught in the building, she walked past my room, stopped and looked, and kept going.
Right.
About 5 minutes later, the principal came to my room. So she clearly had gone and complained to the principal, like she's in there doing whatever to some kid's hair. And he was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, yeah, you want me to get you next? And he had a crew cut, so he saw me, cornrowing. And he was like, yeah, you think you can do this? And I was like, yeah, I probably could catch that. I got you.
Yeah. Yes.
And after that, during my prep and my moment, I went and I sat with him and I spoke to him in his office. And he was like, you know what? I don't really care what you do as long as you can connect with them.
Exactly.
So she felt comfortable enough, meaning the young lady, to allow me,
right.
because hair is a very intimate and delicate thing. When we talk about culture, you can't just be touching people's hair, right? Correct. But she felt safe enough, which is another thing that they talk about in classrooms. Safety is the one thing. So we're doing things as Black educators and educators, brown, Black, we're doing things to teach on so many levels just because of who we are.
Right.
Right. So because I know what a cornrow is and because I was able to do it, I could connect with my student, but I'm exhibiting safety. Yeah. I'm teaching, plus I'm fostering a relationship. So when I go back to teach something now, she's going to feel more confident. So you're creating confidence in your students. She's going to be more apt to want to learn and to ask questions because she feels better about herself.
Correct.
So how do you do the social emotional learning? We do that just by who we are. So whether we're talking about hip hop or Black culture, it's synonymous. Right.
Yes.
And that white educator couldn't understand or connect. So that was a problem for her. But it wasn't a problem for administration because he understood. And shout out to him.
Yeah.
Right. Because he was a white man.
Yeah.
Shout out to him for not allowing the traditional systemic things and by the book on everything. He understood what was most important. And that's a big part of why hip hop has not found its way into the classroom quicker than it is now. Is because of systemic things, and that's always the issue, or most of the time, right?
Right.
I know I went on a tangent, but
that's righteous though, because to boost the morale in the classroom, these are the future soldiers, and
correct.
And the reason that I say we deserve a separate place or a separate wing for what we do is because you're gonna have the educators be more haters than anybody on the globe. You're going to have them at war because the educator that's been there without that touch is going to be envious. They're going to be angry, and where we're coming in saying, look, it's not a separate thing. I'm coming in to assist.
Correct.
I'm not coming in here to fight you.
Correct.
And until that point, I feel we should show what we have in a separate thing and then be invited by this and not close in or having to go teach in another country or whatever. Because if we all wanted to pack up and go to Sweden or Greenland or something like that, they'd accept us with open arms, give us a bag and a place to stay.
It's happening already. I will say this though, within the, again, so, if you're looking at, and for me, it's really important, I focus on the 4 elements. If you look at B-boy culture, dance culture has always invited teachers to do residencies and stuff. And so I have friends right now, for years, that's how they eat. They get invited and rock out for 6 months, for whatever, however long their production is, or for teaching residencies. Big up to my man, Why Not? Big up to my homegirl, Tina Marie. Like, that's what they're doing. And so, because that's already a part of the established thing. So that's what you do. So, in b-boy culture and in hip hop dance, this is already happening, and they're taking what they're taking their authentic selves and presenting this. And so I think that's a good thing. When it comes to the rest of the shit though, as far as MC and everything, Brother Jay, the problem is, right, look, we got songs. Listen, when you told me in the last show that we had, and you brought up the lyric, my booty hole, bro. Yeah. Like, I thought you were joking. Until I heard her say that shit.
Ridiculous.
So the problem is there's a lot more fuckery to wade through with this MC shit, man. Like it's crazy right now. Like she said, ratchet hoe, but I like the Kardashian. I mean, so
here's the thing though. Here's the thing. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for
okay,
this.
let's go.
Right?
Play it. Let's do it.
With controversy comes conversation. And
Right.
that's an educative tool as well. And although, yes, that's wild and the language and the this, but what you can do with that, and shout out to One Hood Media, because matter of fact, Monday, Jasiri X came and spoke to my students
Big up to
in the building. He's so phenomenal. So, and in Pittsburgh. So shout out to One Hood Media as we're talking about educating the youth, them. But controversy can become conversation, right? It can become a space for you to explore, analyze, again, back to the education hat, critical thinking, higher learning, higher order, right? All that language that you learn in school and Bloom's taxonomy and this and that. Okay, cool. So if we're talking about higher order thinking, then we're talking about critical thinking. We're talking about juxtaposing. Okay, so we look at that versus Sister Soldier and language she's talking about.
Right.
So it can become an opportunity to use it as an educative tool. That's why hip hop is so dope and it's so unique in that even the ratchetness, that's a women's studies class. Even the ratchetness, that's a sociology class. Why is it that language is acceptable? Why is that the commonplace norm? How does that affect economics? Does economics affect that? Like, you can spin it any way and it still becomes something to use as an educative tool that's more interesting. This is why hip hop is so important. That's more interesting and that hooks them in than something that they can't relate to.
Now
that's what I'm gonna say.
I dig you, and let me address the advocate of that. In that, the devil's advocate. Now, where they burn the bridge for us is that when you want to teach something of a higher status like that, the grammar is gone in school. All right, so you're not even in. You can't even the lyric that he just played from you. I can't even enjoy that if I don't have advanced grammar.
That's so.
All right.
That's so true, but there's no difference between that and the standardized test that they're giving them. So if you can use that as a tool to say, well, let's explore what juxtaposition means, they'll retain that. My brother Breeze taught me something, that it went something like alluvial fan is a cone-shaped deposit made by a stream that forms at the foot of a slope. And you know, that's dope. He taught me that when I was in the 5th grade doing earth science, and I couldn't remember the vocabulary. I don't know what other words were on that test ever. Right. But at my age now, which is far from 5th grade, I remember that. I remember that lyric. And it was because of how he composed it. It was because of how he presented and put it together. Science. So you're right, Brother Jay. But it's like, how do we use this? Because at the end of the day, education system, it's pretty screwed up. And I'm saying that as someone who's been in it for a while, but there are moments of magic. I think it's all in how you creatively create that curriculum.
Yes. And then when you create the curriculum, then you have to face someone like the person who walked past your classroom.
That's real though.
Right? And those are the people that vote against you when you want to put something in that will be the missing enzyme to what y'all are trying to do, connect to these children and so on.
Agreed.
Y'all just trying to keep that income. You're not worried about, you know, the power of touching a girl and giving her the compassion that she ain't had the time to do. Because if her hair was wild, that means something is wrong in the household.
Correct. All right? That's valid.
So that's real talk. So now all those many connections and curriculums that we create, someone's going to have the nerve to go to a board and shoot us down because of the lack of money and so on. And then we end up sending all that curriculum and all those teachers to different countries. We send it like money to Ukraine. So you got J. Rue teaching in this place. You got kid from Alcoholics teaching in another place. They're straight. They can't be here fighting on the front line of hip hop. And thus you have Booty Hole Brown as number one.
I love how it comes back to that. But no, that's a valid point. And I will say this is another major slip up with education. I happen to have my formal license, but I'm a believer that whatever your skill set is.
Right.
And I think you all spoke to this idea of an engineer, something. But if you're an engineer, right, and you want to now give back and teach engineering to youth, but you don't have certification in education, there are spaces where now you cannot, the majority of the spaces you cannot teach that engineering skill, not because you don't possess the knowledge, but because you don't have maybe the formal certification. So now you have to go through a series of things in order to do that when you know the material. That's a big part of where we're failing too, because like you said, J. Rue, okay, yeah, he should be able to teach that here. And maybe there are some pockets of spaces where he can do that, but is it the consensus? Is it everywhere? Other countries can see the value, back to the value word, and be like, yo, he's a hip hop god, he's a lyrical master, he knows this, let him come here and teach language here. Right? This is what I'm saying. It's so big.
But because he never got the top status, like a Jay-Z or whatever, you're going to be judged. If Jay-Z wanted to teach in college, they would put him in the college.
Talk about
all right.
It. Now there's distinctions. There's levels to the game. That's real. That's real too.
That point, real quick. I'm sorry because I was off, but like, so what do you think about this? And Nicki Minaj teaches a class at Berkeley, and that's kind of to your point, brother Jay.
That's correct. It's based on status. How did the school get to judge from an entertainment standpoint?
Berkeley is a prestigious
college. Who's at Berkeley?
Who on that board is looking at Billboard magazine to judge who's right to teach a class in school?
That is valid.
The level of their content. All right. You would have had somebody who you would have had Sister Soldier come and teach as an author, okay, and a MC whose lyrics are full of content that you can build from rather than lyrical content that you can't do. With Nicki switching between several personalities, what are you teaching me? All she can teach me is economics or how to become from hood to $70 million. That's all you can teach me. If that's a topic that we really give a fuck about. That's crazy, man.
No, that's real. Someone in the comment just said that status gets more acknowledgement than education.
And it shouldn't be that.
It shouldn't. No, it shouldn't.
When I was out years ago, touring with Suburban Noise, I reached out to historical Black colleges, telling them that every artist of consciousness should be a teacher or some kind of counselor in those historical Black colleges.
Indeed.
Okay. A&Rs of labels should be educators. Okay, because they're saying we know what the audience can absorb. We know the balance of fun versus education, and we can set that. The program director from there follows the template and doesn't sell us out to commercial shit once they see us putting in that kind of work. Okay? You can't do that fighting with educators in a regular school and fighting the board to get you, passed or give you the pass to be able to educate and teach or whatever. You can't fight all those battles. It's worse than hip hop at that point.
No, that's true.
Heard.
That is so true. There's so many, hurdles that you have to go through, and then at that point, it's like, at what point are you exhausted from the process?
Correct.
That you're like, oh, okay.
People give up.
Oh, okay, I'll just go back to whatever it is. That's real. I mean, again, I do think that there are strides being made, but the time that it's taking, we just don't have it.
We don't
in
have
regards to the students,
Correct.
in regards to the community.
Yeah, because we are the results of the experiments that they put in the neighborhoods.
Indeed.
If it's crack babies, we got to deal with it. All right. All they see is a kid hollering in the middle of class because his attention span has been reached and whatever's in his blood is boiling and shit, and we got to deal with it. Give me my phone, bitch. Don't do this, and beating teachers' asses in the middle of the day and shit like this. Come on.
Oh, listen. Yeah, I've been there in real time.
Come on.
Real time.
Come on. So we got to deal with that. So what are we saying? As hip hop now, we're fighting as conscious artists, trying to keep ourselves afloat in a game that acts like they don't want us. And then we're going to go and say, let me go do this side gig. And then we go in there to fight too.
I'll tell you what, Brother Jay, to your point, everything that you're saying is accurate. Everything in the conversation with all of us, you know, is real. And I will say this, speaking for myself and my brothers, to your point, we've had more success as educators than we've had in if you want to say the hip hop space realm. Kev might pass out hearing that comment and might disagree with me. But I say that on a couple of levels: consistency, longevity, and even though Juggaknots, for those who are, you know, heads and understand and respect who we are and what we've done and our contribution, monetarily, education is what's held our families down.
No doubt.
More so than going and putting out albums and doing shows and doing tours. And now, granted, that's something we love and will always do as part of us.
Right.
But to your point,
yes,
right, when you're talking about status and notoriety and things like that,
hey,
you know, day-to-day checks is from the public school or from, you know, Monroe or from wherever.
And it's
unfortunate because you can't do everything. You can't.
I understand. And it shouldn't be like that, sis.
It shouldn't.
We should have our own institution, like a Duke or whatever. And we're training and preparing the artists, because the conscious artist doesn't have to go through 4 years of cutting frogs and doing whatever the case may be. It just may be, hey, go get your grammar, go get all the elements of whatever your element covers. So if you're an MC, go get this, reading comprehension, whatever.
Yeah.
Boom. Now you're a master in that field. Now we can job place you in Idaho and Montana, in California, because it's coming from the hall. We're already developing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, it's happening. It's just molasses, man. So it's happening. Like Jay Rawls, he started like the head of a hip hop education program at Ohio State, the first one, like program, not even just a class.
Right.
So shout out to Jay Rawls, like that's major. So it's like the revolution is happening, but whoa, I'm like,
come on,
how old am I going to be when it's just
by the time they get it, we'll be on the 10th generation of crack babies. All right, that's real. They're not comprehending anything. Okay, they don't care about going. They don't care about anything. We're getting to a point of their attention span. Look, the way this music industry is right now, I feel that people have given up. All right, I watched that BET Awards. I was disgusted. I was disgusted. I watched the Essence Awards. I was disgusted. Even when India Ari made her point of like, man, what's up with the class? This was the one place that we would come to see the class, the Angela Bassett's and the Naomi Campbell's and that kind of flavor, and y'all turned it into a strip club, dog. Okay? And then you're going to go say, and now we go back to the school ground, how do you battle sex and drugs versus get your mind right?
I mean, that's valid. That's valid, man. I mean, we're fighting. It's an uphill battle. There's no question to what what you're saying is not accurate. And again, I say this wholeheartedly, being in the classroom and seeing that, like in the classroom. And the only thing, and shout out to Hip Hop Saves, you know, the one thing, this is why it's still a very difficult conversation with a lot of, you know, paradoxes, because it's still the one thing that saves it.
Yes.
Like that them one or two kids who's wilding out, I can still connect to them through something. Now, do I have to pull teeth? Do I have to sometimes kick kids out? Yeah, it happens.
Real quick. So here's the conclusion I'm kind of drawing from you guys here. Because two things can be true at once. You can connect with kids, and you can connect with kids on an individual level. I've done it. I've taught dance classes in Philly and connected with a couple of kids, and that makes it worth it. Because your educators aren't in it for the fucking bread. Trust. So if you're in education or social services, you're in it because your heart is this big.
That's real.
Yeah, but you need it.
Well, of course,
survive, dog.
You certainly need
I
it.
can't be here tomorrow.
Trust me, y'all might see me on the other side of this conversation because I got a kid going to college in like 8 months. So don't judge me if y'all see me putting out a song. I said, yo, remember that conversation we had, right? All right, that joint is making paper now. That's going to cover the first semester tuition. I'm just saying.
Have to do some ghostwriting and the next Booty Hole Brown part 2.
Part 2.
What the fuck?
We're about to end this shit right now. Now we
come on, man.
Okay.
Why you think I'm trying to save the conscious artist, bro?
I'm saying we're talking about real things because
hold on. So it seems like two things to be true. We can connect individually with kids, but to Brother Jay's point, like it is an uphill battle in the schools. You're having issues like Karen walking by and all these different things. But I still think, for my personal opinion, I still think it's worth it at the end of the day to be able to connect with these kids. But at the same time, to Brother Jay's point, we've talked about this numerous times. We need our own shit. Like, so at the same, I feel like I'm looking at this like, well, wait, maybe fuck the schools, but how about because I've seen a lot of progress in after school shit, and that's where a lot of the connections comes with kids. So I think maybe I'm just thinking like, all right, school system maybe not overall maybe the best way possibly, but after school programs are our own stuff. But in the end, I think we got to have our own shit.
If we have our own hall of justice, bro, no one's telling us anything. And we're here to better the teachers. This is not a place that there's their school or ours. We're only dealing with the educators.
Okay.
So all the Bahamadia and J. Rules and Laurens, us.
So we got 15 to 20 minutes. So let's set that up. Because you said it twice. I mean, like, how would you guys? You're in it already, Queen Herawin. I mean, and like, how would you set something like that up? Our own shit, like.
I basically do this. So I left the classroom, and shout out to Hip Hop Education Center. I'm the head curriculum developer for Hip Hop Education Center. So I deal with creating curriculum for different partnering relationships, depending on whether it's a school or organization. And I do agree that ultimately it's worth it because you still have to find, they're there, right? And they still need us. So as far as the hypothetical, the way I like to think about it is you hit all of the elements. And again, the way this connects to education, Gardner talks about the multiple intelligences, like the different ways that we learn. Right. And hip hop automatically does that. So you have the body, kinesthetic, and you have breaking. You have b-boy with the b-boy, b-girl. You have visual and you have graph. And this would be the curriculum, and it is how I think about curriculum. Right. You have the linguistics and language. You have the MC.
Yes.
You have video and visual. You have video documenting, editing. Every single element of hip hop addresses every single element and pillar of education.
And
it's
journalism.
Journalism, correct. So with journalism, you have to
be an element, and I fight for that because
everybody
who writes does not write to rhyme.
I couldn't agree with you more, Brother Jay. Plus, it also adds in the element of the interview process, which we talk about too at the Hip Hop Education Center. So you're right. So now you're talking about interviewing, you're talking about interactive, you're talking about interpersonal relationships. I could go on for days with this, like all of us clearly could.
Correct.
But
and we would erase the curriculum of regular school if we were included with them. We need our own.
I agree with you. I totally agree.
Our own.
I totally agree.
And it's so scary to do that because now we're in the hands of the people, and our people are half-assed. Okay.
Okay. In case no one remembered who we're talking with, it's Brother Jay Exclair.
I'm gonna tell you,
Queen Herawin, conversation.
We've done 32 shows together, and like I bring up my shit on the hip hop level. I got the elements in the back, and Brother Jay comes left with it, and it comes from Brother Jay, black one.
Ginsu. I love it.
So, and it's always great because he you know, it's a real perspective, and it makes perfect sense. And you're like, yeah, and whenever we have these conversations, it always comes back to, yeah, we eat our own shit. Always. And one of the classes real quick I want to throw in there before you guys go ahead is that you got to have something about like the business aspect of this shit.
Somebody in the chat threw in financial literacy, and that's absolutely real. And Brother Jay spoke to that before, talking about A&Rs. You know, when you talk about financial literacy, you can pull in that. Where you talk about marketing, advertising, you know, value of things, how things, price points, like what we do. Hip hop can teach everything.
I would frown on that, because
you would frown on what, Brother Jay?
On teaching finance as an element. All right, that's what's fucking up the game.
What you mean?
So he's saying it's an element, but I think it's important to have it as an aspect.
I'm saying like this. Look, we're talking creative elements. We have to stay in our lane. I'm
just saying this is like you know, like before you get out of here, you need to know how not to lose your fucking shirt in this game.
No. When we leave out of there, we're not selling ourselves to little weak ass machines anymore. Well, period. If we're strong enough to have a Hall of Justice, and that means we already have our own music brand, our own imprint, and then we're offering fair deals to people of powerful mind. If you want to go sing booty hole and trap shit, then you're not going to get the fair deals like if you're trained with the elements. You gotta draw the line, bro. All right, you can't allow them to straddle the fence. If you want to talk that dumb shit, then you're not welcome to come into these classes. Well, you're learning the elements for real, dog. Right. All right? Period. There's much more expression than what you're talking about. You're talking about the dust and the dung on the street versus the higher mind and the capabilities that we are as melanated people and indigenous human beings.
Nice, Brother Jay. What are you? Woo! Brother Jay on that.
Come on, man.
I think the difference, the distinction should be element versus aspect. Because I think Brother Jay speaking, if I'm hearing right, speaking to the purity of what those pillars should be, from the creative place, from the spiritual place, because it is spiritual.
Correct.
It is spiritual. There's no question.
There's no mixing that. I'm not going to teach you, here's how the beast is going to treat you when you leave here. You're a free man. You're a free woman when you leave this academy, when you leave our classroom. Why would I teach you how to bend over this thing and get whipped? I'm not going to do that to you.
But that's why the economic piece is important, right? For the empowerment. I just think it should be a different part. Not necessarily an element, but certainly an aspect.
But I mean, just in terms of just a business side of
yeah, I get that.
Hey, man, there's no fair business for hip hop, man. There's no fair business for hip hop. We have to restructure everything. Everything. Burn all of that shit, man. That's why we saying our own.
Yeah, our own.
It's happening. We just have to do way more of this and take it from conversation to something concrete. And it's happening.
They don't want,
but I agree. I think it's new. I think it's about rebuilding. Breeze disagrees. We have controversy even within our own family. You know, when we're going to speak more about that, we're actually talking about doing some things with hip hop and education, podcast wise, like coming very soon. So it should be interesting. But he feels like, let's rectify what's there. Correct. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Brother Jay.
And I salute everything that you're doing and all of your team. And I salute the other teachers that I know that try to incorporate hip hop in school. But as I always tell them, I say, look, man, we don't belong here. We don't belong here. All right. We need somewhere where there is a hall of justice, and we prepare our educators. They leave here refined. They don't have pedophilia on their mind. They don't have no trying to get you in the game, sidetracking, scam shit. They don't have nothing on their purity. When that shit when that shit is added on to these school systems, it will be different. They're going in and they have qualifications in grammar, reading comprehension. They're prepared. So that little paperwork game that they play, okay, because they played on me. I can't go to a college and be a lecturer because I don't have the degrees. But yet you take 16 bars from my album and I can break down a lesson plan for the next week. 16 bars.
That's real. That's what we were speaking about before.
I can't be a lecturer. I'm a speaker, and then you cut my pay. but yet I'm doing
real.
more within an hour than you've done in a fucking year.
That
doing
is
more
real.
within an hour than you've done in a fucking year.
That is real.
And I'm going to squeeze in to your program.
Right.
I'm not interested.
Right. No, like
I'm
I
not
said, what
interested.
you're saying is valid, Brother Jay, and I agree that is a major issue. I mentioned that before. Like, just because you don't have that necessarily certification doesn't mean you're not certified to teach that. You've shown and proven that with all you've done.
Correct.
So hold up.
And one more point, bro, before we break. I know we have to cut and all that shit. Let me tell you something.
We coming back for round two. Like Booty Hole 2, we come back for round 2 together.
Come on, man. Look. The Hip Hop Universal Museum has the opportunity to do that. Don't be a part of no housing mall program. Define your own. If you go to every label in the game and tell them give you $1 million, and if they front on you, put them on blast, boycott their brand. You have that power. You should have your own building. If Smithsonian Museum exists, Hip Hop Museum should have its own. You don't see Smithsonian with no up and down stairs, and then they're in the middle, and then 30 years of history is put into a little glass with a picture. Fuck that. If they put an exhibit out, they have the whole Egyptian wing. All right? I've been telling them conscious music deserves a hall there for the few people that stood front line when everybody was talking about pussy and bullshit. This is not a new thing.
That's
There've
true.
been 4 of the Booty Hole Browns within the 50 years of fucking hip hop, dog. We deserve our own. I don't go to the Natural History Museum in Manhattan and I gotta go through all kind of other shit. I see natural history, period. The whole building around the block down the way is that. Why is hip hop got to be mixed with all kinds of other shit? Why is there a trap museum in fucking Atlanta and you acknowledge no other hip hop in the game? That's bullshit. And trap is new.
Yeah.
Trap is new. So you're not even telling me trap above conscious?
I think
above.
I think that's a really interesting conversation, because in addition to just as you're talking about conscious hip hop and having been the foundation of that, you know, Brother Jay, having been the foundation of that, it makes me think again of commercialized music versus underground artists.
Correct.
So again, myself and other people like me, there's so many that have been contributors to the game, but because of exposure, because of what we're necessarily talking about or not talking about, you know, you got to dig to find it.
And doing. You have to become more activist.
I got to jump in here real quick.
Yes.
So I hear you, Brother Jay. So we're taking it back to the teaching, right? And artist teaching, I hear you saying we got our own shit. What, Brother Jay, what do you and I always come back to at the end of every conversation?
Yes.
As far as hip hop and people, we ain't unified. We hating on each other, and we don't do shit. And we don't do shit together. We don't work together, and we fucking some haters. When a motherfucker gets up, you don't fucking ask him how he got up. You try to bring him down. We talk about that every fucking show. So my point is, in the meantime, it's the best we got. Like, it's the best we got, because you say we always go back. Yeah, we need our own shit. And then at the end of that, after that conversation, you and I get back to the bottom line is it ain't gonna happen because we hating. So that's what we always come back to.
Hey, bro.
All 32 shows. So in the meantime, these educators, like, so people, Breeze, Herawin, whatever, you gotta like make the difference where you can, because we ain't having that unified shit.
And I'm not saying not to try. All right, I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying acknowledge the reality, because after all of the curriculums and things that we can set up, the haters are on the board. Okay. Yeah. You're going to hit that brick wall. I don't care how good you are a driver, dog. You're going to hit that fucking brick wall.
Acknowledge what I'm saying. Acknowledge. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what Queen Herawin's doing, what like anybody else is doing is teaching and showing this shit. Why not be whatever is better than nothing, because like you said, we're not going to get the unity that we talk about. We're not going to get that. Are we going to get all these platforms and people and connectors working together?
It's not going to happen amongst the masses, bro. It has to be the teachers first. You got to show the example. The Hall of Justice that I'm talking about is all the teachers first.
I think it has to happen concurrently. I think honestly it's happening again. I just think it's happening slowly, but it's happening. And I say concurrently, meaning I'm in the classroom while I'm teaching, and then I get off and I take a Zoom with Hip Hop Education Center to find spaces where we can do hip hop and push in and do this. And it's unfortunate that I have to do it, because trust me, it's exhausting, right? As a matter of fact, that's why I left the classroom full time. I was teaching full time, and I'm like, oh, hip hop and education, finally, let me try to do both. It has to happen concurrently. Yeah. So Wordsworth, another great example, educator, former educator, MC. What does he do? He teaches during the day. He writes rhymes and puts out music. He does collaborative projects, and then he does speaking engagements in between. Oh, come to this hip hop, come to this educational seminar. So unfortunately and fortunately, we're able to be in a variety of spaces to have these conversations. And what's interesting, this is the shift too. Administration is shifting just because of generation. The administrators that we had 20, 30 years ago are different from the administrators now. Kev, shout out to him again. Even though he's not an administrator, he has worked as a dean. He has his administration license. And so my point is, when you get hip hop in administrative positions, now, okay, you have more of a say on who you're bringing in as faculty into your school. So it's a combination of that and creating.
On that point, who was the fool that brought Nicki Minaj to Berkeley?
I'm sorry. Okay. I wasn't ready.
We got this power
better
now.
With Brother Jay next time.
Okay.
I thank God I wasn't sipping my tea. Okay. Go ahead.
Who was the fool that brought Nicki Minaj to Berkeley? If we're getting this power and all of this stuff and we're slowly growing, who the hell brought Nicki Minaj to Berkeley?
She didn't say everywhere. She said slowly, my G. It's real slow. Shit. When I saw that, I almost fell out, brother. I did a double take. Berkeley! Come on, man.
Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
I'm seeing Ice Spice on commercials with Ben Affleck for Dunkin' Donuts. I'm like, the whole shit is, everything's
trying to tell you. Y'all, I'm about to be on them commercials, and then I'm gonna fool them. Ha ha!
Yeah,
I am educated.
And then the offers will stop. Okay. then the offers will stop.
Right.
You already know.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like,
you out of there.
All right.
And that's to your point, Brother Jay. Create the lane. So we just have to do the most, like we've always had to do. As who we are. You always have to do more. I'm gonna
start this off for us. Here in California, I bonded with the Black Veterans Program here.
We got
all right
4 minutes.
All right, excellent. And I'll be brief. I'm gonna talk to them about putting a museum up. All right, and I'm gonna start it from here. And if that's successful, then we're gonna gather all of the artists that we know that build on this plane. And I'm going to remind underground artists to start keeping it cleaner. Because if we're going to use your bars and your techniques in classrooms, I'm not beeping out words. I'm not playing these fucking games. If you want your shit to be in the annals of this fucking hall that we're building, I advise you to keep your lyrics clean and solid. Example the vocabulary and shit that's missing. All right? We're going to start this off. And I'm going to contact the veterans to see about a museum here. That's the reason that I didn't get down with these other programs. And I'm not shitting on them. I respect their situation. But it's a movement power to establish what we're doing. It's not a political thing. All right? We don't have to ask permission for what the fuck we're doing. See, the people care about it or they don't. It's time to pull out those cards. And not enough action.
Okay. Damn.
That's why
you leave it at that. You don't say anything after.
What you
just leave it at that.
I'm done.
Damn, we missed the show last month, and you on some extra. I didn't know you was gonna get busy like this tonight. Damn.
Yeah, man, it's been a powerful month, man. And yeah, man.
Damn.
Yeah.
Smoke
I'm
coming
excited.
Up.
The Black veterans have me excited. They look at hip hop like we do, and they say, "Why is it in a status where y'all groups are not number one? We want to help." That came to me. I didn't even think to reach for them. Brother Logan out of Long Beach came and said, man, you know what? We need to get up for y'all. And I helped them. I helped them have more visual to their situation. Let me help you do a film on your pain. Let me help you do a soundtrack with people that want to salute their military families that they've lost. I helped them and they helped me. So we're going to use that power to start off what I'm saying. I'm not going to talk about these other institutions on a bad level. I'm going to show them what's happening.
Real
That's
quick.
my word.
Hold on for a second. So I don't have another show until 10 o'clock, but Instagram cuts me because I'm always in Instagram timeout and in the doghouse. So I can kill the show. If you guys want to rock out for a few more minutes, we can. Or if we, you know,
I love to talk on something else, man. This gets me hyped, man. I be on some.
Yeah, you in your bag tonight. So yeah, I don't know where we're going with this conversation. Brother Jay was in his element. He has got them LA trees out there. So you got
shout out
I
to
deserved
AB in the
it
building.
for the time I was sitting in traffic today, my dog. I deserved.
Yeah, he was like, yo, this shit, wow. Yeah, the LA traffic will make you. That's that falling down shit.
I wanted to jump out my car, go postal and shit. And
Word.
like, wow,
You know what,
man.
y'all? I saw something the other day, like 2 or 3 days ago. Is it Beijing? Somewhere, not here, obviously, that you can pay. You can, like how you get an Uber, you can pay for someone to come relieve you in traffic. It's like $60, and they'll drive your car back to wherever I guess it's supposed to be, home or whatever, and then you could just bounce. So it's interesting you say that, Brother Jay.
I love that.
Where
That's
do
gonna
you
be a new business. I'll get paid out here in LA.
You might cross, as long as you don't get hit crossing the highway. I don't know. You end up getting lunch or something.
Hold on. What you mean though? Like they come, you in the car, where you go then after that?
You
get on the motorbike.
You go wherever, man.
Yo,
I would just get out of traffic. You get out of Dodge.
You just live
on, man.
You just in the middle of the street.
Yo, I would get mad motorcycles, yo, and roll up. You ready to go? I have a person on the back. Get in your car. You ride with me. Man, that shit would make bank out here.
We go. All right. Let's bring it back.
I love that.
Hip-hop education. So, I mean, Brother Jay, you pretty sour on the whole idea. I mean,
yeah, I don't want to give the recipe. I want to give a little taste to folks. I don't like to, show what I'm cooking in the back. You know what I'm saying? This has been at work for years because a lot of these projects that we see surfacing are now projects that have been done for years. All right. So this has been an idea for years, because I'm alone on the front line fighting for conscious artists strictly. Everybody want to be, let's hold hands with everybody. And I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? We have to sacrifice in order to be conscious artists. For the love of the spotlight and the love of what everybody want to hear and all of that. You know what I'm saying? They make us feel like a vegan burger and a steak spot. You know what I'm saying? That side option is not a real menu. Come on, man.
What a great analogy. What a great analogy.
But that's
because then sometimes you go to the restaurant and they don't even have a vegan option, then you have to leave. Dang. To your point, to that analogy, like
correct. But I'm still supposed to obey multiple genders and all kinds of stuff. Y'all never even made a slot for conscious artists. When I go type in on the Google, as I made a point about on our other shows, the Little Kim comes up as a conscious female artist.
What?
You can type in Google right now. And the top 10 Foxy Brown appears in that list. All right?
Rubbish.
You got ridiculous names in there. They don't have none of the trap artists and all of that because they made their own lane. So I'm saying the conscious artists, why don't we have our own lane? Why is there not a conscious artist museum? So that's been my work. I try to create
I think that's such a great concept. Yes. I look forward to the materialization of that, Brother Jay, because there are so many, but there isn't the space for them, so it feels like there's so few.
Yes, I offered it as a wing to the Universal Museum, and it wasn't even a conversation. And my brother's on the panel, but you was settled for putting your crown in the staff in the glass.
I'm gonna politically be correct, so I'm gonna just listen. But I that's unfortunate for sure.
That's unfortunate.
Wow.
I'm hating on that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take something off my altar
and
put it in a glass.
Real quick, no conscious artist wing.
None. I said, let me build it. Instead of me continuing my work here in the West, I said, let me build the conscious wing to what y'all doing, see if they'll give that. So now PE and all of the artists that come down in that trickling tree, Most Defs, when there was Black Star coming out of the Black Bookstore in Flatbush, I want that. Okay, where this generation looks at it like Most the TV star, the movie star, and Talib the podcast star. No, let's go back to their humble beginnings. All right?
Right.
And let me give a display to them to show what they was doing. Everybody who was spitting that consciousness had something else as far as two hats. Look how when we speak of you, Goddess, with all the hats that you have worn, you think you deserve just a small glass with your pen and your pad or something that was, you know, symbolic of you. Right. It should be something to where this is what that sister did to inspire you to leave that space and do monumental things.
Right.
You seeing my crown and a stick in a glass is doing nothing for you, but giving you room to try to bite some shit fashion-wise. Those are sacred items. If you break down the full gambit of what the fuck X-Plan was about, that exhibit will be different. And that's why I kept saying, we need our own. There's not enough room for us to squeeze in and give everybody credit at the same fucking time, bro.
Is there stuff in the X-Clan stuff in these museums? I haven't really paid attention to these museums. Like,
I mean,
I
definitely have.
X-Clan is included in that museum next to Humpty Hump in the same fucking case. All right? My brother architect's crown and staff are in that glass with Humpty Hump's nose and some other shit. What the fuck does that have to do with conscious power, man? Straight up 100%. X-Clan,
this is hard.
A fucking a breakdown of all of this shit that we have done for my city. I defended the streets. When niggas sell drugs in the streets, my nigga. I defended our people in the streets, fighting police and all kinds of shit. And you gonna give my brother a small pot in the museum of bullshit glass next to Humpty Hump? Like that's acceptable for our dues? Fuck what you talking about.
That's not curation, man, and that's not understanding what it is. Like hip hop was so here's the thing, and we've talked about this, that hip hop had a lot of bandwidth back in the day. On the same bill, you would see maybe a Public Enemy, NWA, Ice-T. You would see a lot of different shit. So like, yeah,
it's a similar concept to what you're saying right now.
So and make a distinction. Don't just throw it all together like it's one just big thing.
But again, I think that goes to the larger. It goes to the larger issue, and also to bring it back to the classroom. That's like having a school, and you have one or two teachers that risk conscious conversation and decide, well, this is what is being taught in the social studies or history class, but I'm going to teach what really happened and what that narrative really was. Now you risk certain things, and it might be that one teacher, you know, Mr. Blackman, you know, in room 405, within that whole building. It's really a very similar concept where everything does, when you're trying to consider the idea of what education is, whether you're talking about hip hop or just the traditional, whatever traditional means of education, it's all looped into one space. And then you'll have that one teacher who actually really teaches versus the bullshit that's being taught or the watered down stuff that's being taught. And you do that even at your own expense.
Correct.
So I don't, you know, it's hurtful to hear that, you know, what you're saying is real, because when you have the conversation, it deserves, whether you're saying the whole wing or your own space. I'm really excited about the concept of just the conscious hip hop, like museum period, like, because there's so much to explore.
Yeah.
So,
you know, and to add to your point here, the reason that I was able to do it out here is because I chose to salute the elders that inspired us. All right. So I'm not saying, hey, just put Mos Def and X Clan and this and that. I'm saying put Sonny Carson. All right.
Understood.
I'm saying put Adam Clayton Powell Jr. I'm saying put all the people in here that inspired me to write.
Correct.
Put them in here too. Put some of the unsung heroes in here too. And then you can add some of these black veterans more than just
I think that's even an iller idea, Brother Jay, because now it's not to say hip hop is ever limiting in that sense, but I think now you break beyond the boundaries of genre or even culture, and you're talking about influence, and you're talking about contribution. Yes. And so when you're saying it that way in a very general context, all of that should be honored and acknowledged. Cool. That's a very interesting concept, because you don't see.
You don't see that. And that's why I was blown away at why they wouldn't take that wing. I'm saying, yo,
well, maybe everything for a reason. Maybe instead of the wing, it should be that whole space, and it becomes a museum that's a consciousness museum. That doesn't exist. I've never seen or heard of anything conceptually like that, period.
And you know what inspired me? Like you say, the negative inspires. When they built the Trap Museum, I was like, I don't want to hear shit. Mm-hmm. Just like when they did Blue Eyed Soul, I was inspired to do a conscious music label. All right? Because you kept artists that weren't talented enough in Blue Eyed Soul to compete with some of the top talent. You gave them their own lane. So there's no way conscious artists can blast past the marketing that the bullshit music, as we call it, we can't override that marketing. I don't give a fuck how dope of a record that you do. You're not going to get $200,000 radio campaign behind you.
And there's reasoning for that, right? There's reasoning for the social conditioning of that, and why that is as successful, which is a weird word to use, or as which is why your concept is really interesting, because it breaks through all of those boundaries.
And you can't come into our museum with that bullshit. How would you come into our museum and say, hey, put some Booty Hole Brown up in here? It's not fun enough. You can't.
I swear, I'm about to put that on my desk though. I'm just gonna put it on. I might have to just write it as a reminder. Get your mind right.
I'm amazed that lyric plays on TV or anywhere. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, I was an artist that snuck under the radar. Okay, the type of music that I do was not supposed to be happening. Okay, we were on charts with New Edition and Luther Vandross and all kinds of shit, dog. I know what it's like to slip under the radar. But
how do you think that happened now, Brother Jay? That's just a separate question out of curiosity for me, and for my own educational purposes. How do you think that happened, as you say, slipped under the radar, because and kind of got into that space?
The choice of popular music. The choice of popular music. If I didn't rock More Bounce, if I didn't rock Knee Deep, and all the little breaks that I was choosing underneath my lyrics, it would have never happened. Okay? That's why I feel that the conscious artist will fail in this era, because if you fuck around and make a beat on your watch and try to put it out like that, it's not going to rock. When you go back and dig in the crates and do the work and connect to your ancestor in this music game, there is electromagnetic energy that happens, dog. No one can fuck with us on them breaks. Okay? You put any of these new artists on them breaks, they just flapping their lips. There's a pocket that we touch, because most of us of that era grew up in it in our houses with our parents. We were dancing to it before we was rhyming to it. It has a different attachment.
Right.
I made that album like that. I was a DJ, so I know at the barbecue I put this on. Mom's gonna like that. Pop's gonna get down and get low on this, man, and be wilding out and doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? I know that's where you test the elements. This element thing is not like pick one and keep it moving. If you're gifted, you have many talents. So and each element teaches each other.
Absolutely.
Okay? Conscious artists are the ones that will give a fuck about having a DJ versus the beat machine playing track 1 through 7. Okay? But when they start cutting your pay, you have to start leaving people home and just show up and say, yo, I'm gonna do it for the team. and you end up doing 10 for the team, and the DJ gets forgotten. It becomes just put my USB in and just wait for my cue. They separated the elements. Okay? So now with this hall, we can make these points of how we're going to teach the elements and not override the school system, because hip hop is not a fun thing. This is a difficult thing to learn. I used to memorize vocabulary books and all kinds of different shit.
Sure, for sure.
Get to
you
where
studied.
I'm at.
You studied, as we talk
Correct.
about education.
This ain't no freestyle off the head. Your shoe is blue and your hat is whatever. This ain't that. Okay, that's a good. Freestyle to me is the cement in the brick. You know what I'm saying?
That's a great.
When you're on
word,
stage
cement.
and you get off focus, you can come and stay on beat and say something relevant and get back into the pocket. It's not something that you make a craft, because now people treat it goofy when it's freestyle. That's when you are the griot in the middle of the village and you letting the universe touch you and you letting go. That's a sacred time. This ain't that you
real.
memorize all the syllable shit that matches. You make it so robotic. I hate the way they do hip hop, man. And to have a place where you can really teach and not have anybody say, hey, what are you doing in there, braiding this motherfucker's hair while you're teaching him how to write bars? Right. Those kind of people are not welcome here. Okay?
Right.
When our teachers leave here and go to a school, it's like when Shaolin teaches people how to do Kung Fu. They don't have a motherfucker to come to the United States and stick him in room 712 and you just go see him at period 5.
Valid.
That nigga got a full goddamn temple at his fucking beck and call, and you come there by appointment.
Valid.
So why would it be different for the masters of the craft? The commercial world does not dictate who the masters of the craft are. Why do we?
I got a practical question for both of y'all. Because who would you pick to kind of lead this whole shit? Who are the teachers, Brother Jay? I mean, Queen Herawin.
Obviously, Brother Jay. Obviously, Brother Jay. Brother Jay.
And you know what? I would properly decline that and choose someone who doesn't even fuck with hip hop.
Why you say that?
Because they wouldn't be biased. They wouldn't have feelings or emotions toward elements or whatever. And if they like it, then the world will love it.
I think you gotta have somebody that fucks with hip hop, though.
I would want somebody who thought that it never would rise. That's why X-Clan was so powerful, because my elders didn't fuck with hip hop. So when I finally got them involved and they were dancing on the side of the stage and praising the music and all that shit, I know I won. They didn't fuck with the game. They didn't give a fuck about no rap shit. They gave a fuck about the movement. And then they saw how we touched the people. Everything that we did exploded, dog. So I wouldn't have somebody that fucks with hip hop. It would be an elder that the furthest thing in their mind is where hip hop would blossom and do whatever. When they see all the unity and the power and the education and all that shit going down in the hall and they come there with a smile on their face, we won. Because the generations before us fuck with us. It would have to be an elder, man. I don't qualify for that. I'm still in the battlefield. I'm one of them generals that gotta be out there, gun on the back, nigga. Fuck it. I've been through 20 wars, nigga. Let's go. I'm just that. I'm not that. I refuse to war with my brothers, dog.
Big brothers shit. I feel you.
Real shit,
family. So, all right, Herawin, who would you put there? Even though brother, we gonna put Brother Jay there, even though he don't want to be there. Fuck
yeah, I'm putting Brother Jay regardless. I'm a blindfold Brother Jay and
this
tell
is
him,
type shit where we be like, you could not
to the vegan spot.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell him I'm bringing him to the vegan spot. Got vegan burgers.
Yeah.
And I'm just be like, just talk, Brother Jay. Just talk while we're on the way, and then everybody will be quietly listening to the sermon. That's all. That's all he going. And that's it. And then when I take the blindfold off, it's gonna be, everybody's gonna be there. And they had made the burger, the vegan burger, for him in hip hop style. That's what's gonna happen.
This type of shit where we be like, yo, not like escape your destiny, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be masterful, yo.
So you'll be there, like, you know what I'm saying? You know, so you'll be there. So who else? Who else?
That's a really good question, man. One thing about this evening is that, and this is some educational stuff, when you think you know something, man, you realize you don't know shit. And so I feel like, you know, I was a contradiction tonight of myself, because there's certain things I felt and believe in, and then hearing you speak, hearing Brother Jay speak. What's up, Boo? DJ Boo in the building. I'm like, to that point, like you, I'm like, nah, someone hip hop got to be in there. But then yes. Brother Jay's point is real, like, no, because it should be about the feeling. It should be about the connection. Right. And I'm like, damn, that's a really good point now too. So I'm torn, man. I don't know. Is it, do you touch the head or do you touch the heart? You know? And that's what I feel like that distinction is. I feel like I want to take a Shaolin class right now, because
you have the balance of both. And I think
should be the balance of both. It should.
I think both are valid, because I think both are important, because certain, like, just even if you take it back to the martial art, and certain masters are proficient in certain things, but then, you know, so you learn from all of them. You know what I mean? Right. So I think, you know, so if you're going through school and if you're getting a complete education, right, you get the science, you get the math, you get the English. So I think, you know, you get that. There's always that teacher, right, that you had that was like looking out for you, was just always cool and shit. And then there's that teacher that was just busting your ass. So
that's true. It is the balance. As a matter of fact, this is not extremely, you know, elitism thought, but I thought of Kung Fu Panda. This is where my brain went. I thought of the cartoon, the movie Kung Fu Panda, and how they literally were kind of teaching each other and learning from each other's skills, if you want to say element. And the dude who was like the high turtle old dude who was like the G,
super slow,
they only rocked with him like once in a blue. They only came to him when they were prepared enough, or he would beat their ass and they'd be like, okay, I got to go back and I have to work on my craft. To me, that's that balance of, okay, the head and the heart, you know, to what both of you are saying. It does require peers and working together and collective effort in order to sharpen your sword. And then you go to that master and you're like, yeah, you ain't there yet.
You ain't
there
yet.
That happened, you know, that's what I think. I do think it is a balance.
Correct, artist. And if you think you're going to bust a lyric in front of someone who hates hip hop, and you're going to slack and throw some dumb shit at them, you're going to get a deep reality check, dog.
That's real.
You know what it's like to bring, bro, I wrote FTP for Sonny Carson. Okay? We were in the middle of a street war in New York. Yusef Hawkins. And he was like, he got back in the car, all the security around, and he called me in the car and he said, you know, man, FTP, man. Hey, I said, FTP, what the fuck does that mean? And he said, fuck the police. And the way that he said it to me was not like bash on every cop. It's just the system that they serve is so fucked up. It just made this old man just get in his car, man, FTP. He didn't want to curse, but he wanted to say something that reflected the moment. And I took it and rode. And when I brought it back to him, it was solid. Okay? It was solid. Is this what you were thinking, Elder, in lyric form? For someone that doesn't fuck with hip hop? You ain't never seen no Sonny Carson like Puff Daddy on our stage. That nigga never been in our studio talking about, yo, dope one, roll it back. Nigga, when we finished that shit, we presented it to the Elder like finished product. Think better of hip hop. It is a good thing to channel this black nationalism through, because we were a black nationalist army in New York. We ain't got no time for no rap shit. So when you got to put that shit in a lyric, dog, imagine the pressure on my 17-year-old ass.
That's real.
All right? You think I was gonna write whack bars for the Elder? Some Ewok village shit? Positive, this is positive, this is positive. Them niggas, every time them pop niggas do positive records, it sound clownish, dog. It's like, why don't you bust like when you rhyme into that Mobb Deep shit? Why can't you do it like Black Thought and you pull that ether out of the shit and into your vessel, my nigga? Why is there a separate thing like I gotta be positive now, I gotta shift my gear? Why is that? That programming has to cease. That's what that class would be about. When we're sending abbots from Shaolin into that world, it's their job to break the programming.
Right. Right.
And
Well, that's the thing. It's about freeing yourself. And then when you can, then you're actually creating something. Like today, like I said, it's something, it was a small gesture, but you know, I had on some kicks with slacks.
right.
And it's like that saying, I really don't give a F. I know who I am, I know what I provide, and I don't need anyone systematically to give me a certain guideline on how I should present myself.
Correct. As
In
long
order
as it's
to be
respectful.
effective.
You're
And
a
it
woman
wasn't
coming in class. I shouldn't
it was
see
just
your
me being me.
thighs. I shouldn't see your breasts.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain just codes of etiquette that you practice when you come into a classroom. So if I'm rocking my Jordans in this and I'm coming here to teach the feeling of hip hop, you already know it's a I don't give a fuck in the most polite way.
In the
most
polite way. Correct.
In the most polite way. So deep enough that you come in here and I'm braiding hair and teaching the class and nobody's throwing papers and talking shit and spitting at the back of my neck or none of that shit. There's a respect here.
Correct.
They get in the way of that.
Mm.
When I go squeeze myself and go speak at these places and all of that shit, I feel like I'm getting into this box and I'm squeezing in. Hello, everyone.
That is real.
And
that really hit my heart because I think we all know what that feels like at a moment. And what's interesting is that you think you're going in a space to create a larger opportunity for yourself. However, it can feel the complete inverse, that you do feel like you're squeezing yourself into a box, making yourself less than in order to fit in. That was really good.
Correct.
Damn, because I felt that.
You feel
I know that feeling.
All right. And that's how they did my brother's shit in that fucking museum. You scroll all our 30 years to be something that you walk by 3 seconds and like, oh shit, that's a nice hat. Instead of the crown that we named it. And the staff, not a carved stick from Africa or some shit. The whole history behind just the 2 items in that shit are worth an hour's conversation. So you think I would go and sacrifice my shit and just put my stuff up in there to be one of the 2 sticks in a case and you put my 30 years in a box? Fuck that. Y'all come see this museum when I'm finished building. They're going to understand what the fuck they fronted on.
I think it's so interesting for me to also hear that without getting into too much of the politics, because that's fam too in a different way. So, but hearing your perspective and sharing the way that you shared this, it opens up one, obviously for the conversation, but when you hear it said that way, you're like, I see the point. I see. It does make you think. So again, I want to be very careful, but I do think
don't be careful because that's my family too. Yeah. Every nigga on that panel is my family.
Right?
Every nigga on that panel is my family for 30 years.
That's
okay.
Valid though, Brother Jay. And that's why I encourage you to continue doing the mission about the museum as far as the conscious museum, because that's where it would have more than a wing. It would just exist as what it is. And you bringing up the natural, you know.
They can't
Go
stop
ahead,
me.
I'm sorry.
They can't stop me. I've already put that in forward. I offered that years ago.
Yeah.
Before they had the ribbon cutting. All that shit.
I think
say, yo, man,
it's such a phenomenal idea. And just because it reminds me of the natural, when you said, you know, Smithsonian or Natural Museum of History, it's a whole place. You're right. It shouldn't be one section. It should be the whole space.
Correct. Because we're big enough and we're able to make millions of dollars for institutions, brick and mortar labels. If we're able to make money for them all these years, 50 fucking years, we don't deserve
and it needs to be said. And it deserves to have its own space. That's the whole thing. This is what happens, like with consciousness, with these conversations, with underground, with all of that. Yeah. It goes underground. That's even the label, right? Even the label underground. Why is shit hidden? It has to always be hidden.
Correct.
You know, and then you think about Underground Railroad. I always think about this. I've never spoken on it, but you talk about underground music, and then you talk about underground, like Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad. That was the railroad to freedom, though.
Correct.
Right? And so that idea of free thought, man, why is shit always underground? Why does it have to be hidden, you know?
Yo, think about it real quick. We got to get ready to go because I got to do a show in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Bathroom. But like, there's 12 people in here, and there were 17 people in the other show. And while this was an awesome conversation, and we're gonna put it out on YouTube and pump it, ain't nobody gonna see this shit.
Yeah.
Because it's underground. But that's okay though, yo, because the right people
in the right place.
But the right people will find it. You know what I'm saying? It's because everything's out there now. Like, so it's we may be long dead,
bro,
gone, but like
I don't come on here for that. Just to make a point. I come on
Of
here
course.
to chop it up and build.
My point is like, you know, out of all the like, you know, like, it's just my point is that's how they control it, and it's not about the likes, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of just the small amount of people that are like into the real shit is what I'm saying. We gotta get out of here. Hold on.
Yeah, man. We know there's a lot more people, but the platform does matter. But at this time, the building is more appreciated, my lord.
Woo!
Trust me on that.
So, so Brother Jay, we know you're doing a museum and shit. You and I are rocking. This is episode 33. But Queen Herawin, what are you getting into real quick before you get out of here, music-wise?
I'm getting into some more lesson plans, man. I'm getting
whining. Hold on. Fuck it, yo. Fuck this. I've been whining for a year. Nah, it's been.
Okay, so let me give you the brief. This month is going to be the mixing and mastering month. And so, you know what I'm gonna do too? Because I love you. I'm gonna send you the demo unmixed version of one of the joints that you love so much.
Keep me happy. It's like keep me.
At least feed you something.
It's basically
something in the
like shut the fuck
meantime.
up. Leave me alone. It's a shut the fuck up thing.
No, it's the gratitude for your patience, man. Brother Jay's been an absolute honor being here with both of you tonight. Thank you so much.
I've enjoyed you.
That project we drop in January-ish, hopefully.
Yeah, January-ish. We looking at spring, and that's all good, man. I'm gonna promote for winter, and I'm gonna send you some little sneak peek. You know what I'm saying? You can share it with Brother Jay too, you know?
Please.
You know,
I
get a
got
little
radio
something.
out here locked down, so I can share that.
I would love that. I would love that.
And I would love you to be on the clan album too.
You know, I would love to be there. All you got to say is the word, my brother. I'm there. I'm there already. All right, y'all. Have a great night.
A little back and
peace and blessings.
Salute,
yes,
y'all.
Peace, y'all.
Blessings, y'all.